Hi, everyone. I want to do a couple of problems where we use the monthly savings plan formula to solve problems involving student loans. I'm going to share my screen. So let me recall what the monthly savings plan formula is. So we have payment is equal to A times R over N divided by 1 minus 1 plus R over N to the negative NT. And so in this formula, PMT is your monthly payment. A is the amount borrowed. R is your annual percentage rate. T is time and years. And N, unless otherwise stated, N is going to be 12. Now, in each of my examples that I'm going to give you, which I'm going to give you 2 examples, we're going to say the time is 10 years. And if it doesn't specify in your homework, that's what you're going to plug in, 10 for time. Okay. And remember what the idea here is. We borrow some money, which will be a student loan. So we're going to borrow some money to pay for school. And each month, we're going to pay some money until we pay that loan off. And we're going to hope to get it paid off in 10 years. Okay, so let's work on a couple problems. First off, we need to know the difference between subsidized loans and unsubsidized loans. Sorry about that. So what is the difference? For a subsidized loan, what's going to happen is you're going to borrow a certain amount of money and you're going to have to pay it back in 10 years. But while you're in school, which could be anything from 2 to 8 years, right? Usually between 2 to 8 years, you're not going to pay anything. Your payments start after you finish school. So subsidized loan is while you're in school, you don't earn you're not charged any interest on that loan. While an unsubsidized loan, you are charged interest for the period of time that you're in school. And this interest that you are being charged, this is simple interest. So the first example we're going to look at is an example where we have a subsidized loan. And then we'll look at an unsubsidized loan. Okay, so here's the problem. Suppose you acquire a $25,000 student loan at 4.28% interest to pay for school. The loan is subsidized and you do not have to start paying until 4 years after you take out the loan. If the loan must be paid off in 10 years, how much can you expect to pay monthly after the initial 4 years? And As always, you can pause the video if you want to kind of write out your variables and just get started, try to make an outline of the problem, or even finish the problem and see if you get the same answer as I do. So I like to write the equation of the formula, which is payment is A R over N. So this is the formula. And I like to write out all my variables here. So since it's subsidized, that means we do not have to pay any interest for the 4 years that we're in school. So A here is going to be the amount that we borrow, which is $25,000. T is going to be the time. And it's not the 4 years that you're in school, it's the time that it takes to pay this money back, which is this 10 years here. Okay, N is going to be 12 for all of these problems. And R is your interest rate, which is given right here, 4.28% or 0.0428. I think we have all of the variables. So now we're going to put this into a calculator. I'm going to write it out. Now, you may want to pause the video and put this in and see if you get the same thing I get. I'm going to use Desmos, and I'm going to show you how I enter it into Desmos.com as well. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. And as you can see, I've entered the formula. So I put the $25,000 here. Here's the interest rate. The interest rate's here again, 1 minus that 1 plus R over N to the negative NT. A few things that can go wrong that I occasionally do is sometimes I forget to put that 0 here. I'll just put 0.428. Make sure you have 0.0428. This number has to be a 12. Sometimes students will put a 10 there. You don't want to do that. And make sure you have a negative here. And this is an exponent. Now remember, to do exponents, if you have 100 and you want to raise that to the 3, you're going to hit Shift 6, and that'll go up, and you can put the 3 here. So this is not multiplication, this is an exponent. So we get 256.45. So that will be our monthly payment. Okay, so let's go back to the PowerPoint. So our monthly payment is $256.45. Now, if we want to, we could figure out how much money we're actually going to pay for this loan. So this is the amount we would pay every month for 10 years. So if we took that amount, 256.45, and in a calculator, multiply by 12, that would give you the amount in 1 year, and then multiply it by 10, that would give you the amount in 10 years. And you'll get $30,774. And if you subtract 25,000 from it, you can see the amount that you paid in interest, which is $5,774. Maybe I'll do that in a different color right here. So over those 10 years, you're paying this amount of interest. Okay, so we're going to do the same problem, but instead of having a subsidized loan, we're going to have an unsubsidized loan. So you're going to acquire a $25,000 student loan at the same interest rate to pay for school. The loan is unsubsidized. and you do not have to start paying until 4 years after the loan. If the loan must be paid off in 10 years, how much can you expect to pay monthly after the initial 4 years? So we have to do something extra because this is an unsubsidized loan. So remember the simple interest formula. It's A is equal to P plus PRT. We're going to use this formula to figure out how much money we're going to owe after those first 4 years. Because while that money, we borrow it, each year is earning in, well, I guess you could say is gaining interest. So we would have to pay that interest off. That's the difference here. So the T is going to be 4 in this case. The rate is this 4.28%. And the principal is $25,000. I'm going to put all of that into this formula, which you can write it like this one or like this. Stick that in the calculator. And I got A is equal to 29280. Let me just double check my work. Okay. So now what we're going to do is after the 4 years, this is the amount you could think of as what we're borrowing because it earned interest. And that's what you're going to put into your monthly payment formula. So the formula again was PMT is A times R over N divided by 1 minus 1 plus R over N to the negative NT, which is equal to 29,280.0428 divided by 12, 1 minus 1 plus 0.0428 divided by 12, raised to the 12 times 10. So if you have that formula still in Desmos.com, don't delete it, just change some of the numbers. I'm going to switch over. You can pause the video if you need to write this down. And I'm going to put all of that into Desmos. Okay, and this is what I obtained. So I get 300.36. So the only thing I had to change was the starting amount. So the starting amount, this is the amount that we're going to have to pay because we earned that interest over those 4 years. And so you can see that our payment, our monthly payment went up about by $50. So let's write this down on the PowerPoint. That was equal to 300.36. Okay, so let's compare the two. Now, if I wanted to figure out how much money I would pay for this loan, total, I would take that 300.36, multiply by 12, that would tell me how much I pay in a year, and then multiply by 10. So if you do all of that, you'll get that the total paid is 36043.2. And then you could subtract the $25,000 because that was the loan And if you subtract $25,000, you'll get 11,043.2. And I'm going to write that on, I think, the next slide because I kind of ran out of room here. Okay, so we said for the subsidized loan, let me go back a couple of slides to see what we found. Okay. So we said that our monthly payment was $256.45, and the total paid for this loan is $30,774. And then the interest, if we subtract the $25,000 from that, we got $5,774. Now for the unsubsidized loan, the monthly payment was 336 cents. The total paid you have to put that back in the calculator. We get 36,043.2. And then the interest, I'm going to subtract 25,000 from this. And that's because we could subtract the I think it was 29,000 that we put in for A. But to get to that 29,000, we were charged interest. So by subtracting the 25,000, we're also including that interest as well. And we get 11,043.2. Now let's compare the subsidized loan with the unsubsidized loan. By not being charged interest for the 4 years that you're in school, the interest that you're going to pay in the end is smaller than the interest you would pay if you were charged interest while you were in school. Look, this is almost half the interest here. You can see the total paid, you're paying $36,000 for the unsubsidized loan and $30,000 for the subsidized loan. So obviously the subsidized loan is the better choice when the interest rates are the same and you have the same amount of time to pay the loan.